Welcome, everybody, to the next installment of the Wildly Awakened Women interview series. I have the amazing Alvina Mingus with me today, who is a real beacon of love and light in the world and an amazing leader. Alvina is a healing coach. She's also a best-selling author. She also helps other women become authors. And really, today's theme about I wanted to bring Alvina on because Alvina is a woman who's made a really powerful shift in her own life and has rewritten the rules and really redesigned her life at a point in time when so often many of us might think, oh, it's too late, you know? That ship has sailed. So our theme today is it's not too late. And actually, maybe it's exactly your time to rise again. And so Alvina, thank you for
You're
being
very
here.
welcome.
Alvina, I would love you to begin by just giving us a little bit of your backstory, and feel free to embellish what I said in your intro as well, but I'd
Mhm,
love to hear what was your story before this shift? Because we're going to talk about there was a turning point in your life, right?
mhm,
So what
mhm.
was your story before the shift? Let's start there.
Okay, so before the shift, I worked in the corporate world for almost half my life, 24 years, and lived in what I now see as like a conditioned world. So, you go to school, you go to college, you get a job, you are the backbone, you do your study. And I guess just following that path of life where you get married, you have children, you have a house, all that beautiful stuff. 20 million cars because you kept getting a bonus every year. And then look back and think, why did I buy all those cars? But that conditioned world of, wanting to learn, wanting to do better, wanting to help people, moving yourself up the ladder, and very successfully managing to navigate that corporate world and that profession through just wanting to better other people. And as a result, that managerial, that leading the teams, leading, different projects, all that kind of stuff. So my background, I would say quite boring in comparison to what it is now, but very logical stuff. So
Yeah,
like risk, control, compliance, operations, but at the heart of it, it's always been about the people and the
yeah.
impact that I had.
I love that. Yeah. It's so interesting to hear you say that because, you know, to see you now, and obviously I know you really well. We've been friends for a long time. We've been working together. You're in the Inner Circle Mastermind. You've been a private client. We've known each other a long time, and it's really interesting to see. I kind of find it hard to believe, honestly,
So do
because I
I.
knew you. Yeah, I knew you had like the new world and the new life. That you were into risk and compliance and stuff like that, But I
Yep.
also think what I hear you say is who you are now was always in there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
actually she was kind of sheathed, she was covered up by who
Mhm.
you thought the world wanted you to be or who you were like supposed to be. Is that right? Does that
Yeah.
resonate?
Very much so. Very much so. And I do reflect
Mm,
back and look at that time where I was burnt out and my mental health was impacted. And now when I look back, I think differently about that. At the time, it was this, taking on too much stress, blah, 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 blah. I'm not good enough. I can't do this, all these kind of things. But actually, I think it
mm,
was a nudge that you're not meant to be in this world forever.
yes. Isn't that familiar? I mean, literally word for
Very.
word, it's my story. I spoke to Debs in an interview. That was pretty much in a nutshell her story. I spoke
Mhm.
to Rebecca again. That was pretty much her story. It's so fascinating, isn't it? That so many of us just go through life being the good girl and doing the thing we think we're supposed to and going through the motions, but then often there's this real like I describe it as like the record scratch moment where it's like you know
Yeah.
life goes uh-uh, everything's about to change. What was that moment for you? What was your record scratch moment?
So I have to say, so probably pretty much 10 years ago to the day, my husband phoned me at my work while I was in on a Saturday morning doing a project, as you do, working all the hours, doing what you need to do.
Mm,
And he phoned and he said, I'm on my way to the hospital. I've got a kidney stone. And of course, then you're like, yeah, okay, whatever, like, let me know how you get on,
Yeah.
it's fine.
That's
Because
not a
he
big
used to work
deal.
like a labour job, he had a sore back all the time. Not a big deal. It wasn't a big deal at that moment. And then from that, he was diagnosed with kidney cancer, which was stage 4, well
Mm.
advanced. And I think from that moment, it was like, oh my God, we're on fast forward, we're doing what we think we should be doing, we're not taking downtime, we're just like fast forward almost, having kids, having
Yeah.
a house, having the family, going on holidays, like doing, and not being, I think now is
Yes.
how I would reflect on that. And when something like that seed is planted, it just suddenly makes you realize that instantly, like in a second, your world can change
Yeah.
and your thinking can change. And it doesn't happen like an epiphany, but looking back now, the seed was planted, life's way too short. Are we doing things that bring us real joy? Are we just doing what's expected of us? What we've
Yeah.
fallen into, routines that we've fallen into. And it's not until something hits you hard like that, and it feels really hard every day, when you're in there, you're kind of like, oh God, like, is this it? Forever?
Yeah.
And you don't really think ahead. So that was most definitely a turning point. And it took a couple of years for that to then play through into, again, another moment, just totally burnt out with everything personally and professionally, sat on a beach in
Mm.
Brighton and just sitting there going, what am I going to do? Like, what am I here
Mm.
for? And then that vulnerability of just, crying and drinking wine and just not knowing how to think straight because you didn't know any different.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
almost like,
we don't get taught how to
no,
explore and express those types of life-defining experiences in a healthy way in our
yeah,
culture, right?
yeah,
Traditionally, like that's not how which is why we do the work we do, isn't it?
yeah,
Like such a core part
exactly.
of that.
Exactly. So it's like that slowing down, learning how to slow down and just pay attention to me and not the responsibilities
Mm.
of the husband, the wife, the family, like all these other
Yeah,
things that mount up on responsibility or perceived responsibility. Because maybe when you
yeah,
break them down, you're
yeah,
not really, you're spending energy
yeah,
thinking you're responsible for stuff, but you have to trust. And I suppose I was in a fight mode for a long, long time
mm,
around that. So, and actually, it's ever evolving. So ever since that, I
mm,
would say 10 years. And then there was another point when he passed in 2021. And then there was another point last year. And then there's another point this year. So I feel like this, it's not too late, is really relevant for me because I was 44 when that 7 years ago made that one decision to leave the corporate world. I'm now 7 years on and I'm now almost like recalibrating my life again,
yeah,
having done everything that I've done so far and done lots of things in the middle part. But
yeah,
it's like that refresh, that mindset, that energy that you're like, right, there's another soul cycle, I call it, another soul cycle coming round. And I wouldn't,
yes,
my God, if I'd said that 10 years ago, my husband, one of them would be like, what on earth are you talking about?
yeah,
And I
yeah.
would have thought the same because I just wasn't connected with myself. I was up here a lot.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us and so beautifully and honestly and in such an empowering way because you and I have spoken many times, haven't we, about the fact that grief and loss and bereavement can often be such a catalyst for that awakening that, what do I really want in this life? What's really important? And I think so many of us are really called to question. And it could be, you've suffered one of the most difficult, most challenging versions of that awakening process through Jock's illness, being a mum, having to guide your kids, having to guide Jock through his transition out of life. Meanwhile, one of the most inspiring things I think I've ever heard someone say is, when you just said, but I had to learn how to give me what I needed. Because the number of people, women I've supported who really feel a huge block and a barrier to giving that to themselves, to doing that, especially when the chips are down. I think that's so powerful that you shared that because that really is the invitation that I think when we claim that power to value ourselves and deeply inherently know that we are worthy of love and support ourselves, that's how we're going to change this world. That's how we're already changing this world. And it doesn't look like it's working right now when we look at the shit show that is the world right now.
Yeah.
But I really believe that's why so many of us are feeling more called to have a voice, more called. It's certainly at the heart of why I was inspired to do this interview series, to be able to share those stories. So thank you. Thank you for saying that, because what you've just done, I bet, is just give so many women permission to relinquish themselves of that guilt and think maybe it's okay to just give myself a little bit of what I need to get through this. Because that's one of the things that I often say is, look, everybody looks to you for leadership. So that's why you have to start with yourself. Because if you are running on empty and you're depleted, that turns into resentment pretty fast, doesn't it? If we're being really honest.
Yes.
And nobody wants to resent the people that they love the most. And that's entirely on us when that happens, right? That we haven't given that to ourselves. It's a very different way of experiencing this type of life initiation or cycle. And, when you were talking about those cycles again, I think that's very, very resonant. So let's walk through, like, we've kind of talked about like that awakening or series of awakening moments for you. That created the prepared the ground for your rebirth in many respects, didn't it? Your rebirth and your rises. So talk to us about that. How did you find that fire, that purpose, when you were probably feeling like your life had been burnt to the ground in many respects, right? How did you find that thing that kind of helped you rebuild and rebirth who you are and your career and your life, and amongst all of that grief and just really difficult times?
I think a key thing would be that slowing down and just paying attention to me, paying attention to emotions and naming them and questioning why. Like, curiosity is quite a big thing, and I think that when that curiosity is there, you're like, why do I react like this? Why am I working even harder to earn money for other people, to help people? Like, why am I doing that? I'm doing that because it's my response to an emotion. It's my response to fear. It's my response to fight. So I'm a fighter. It's a natural reaction. It's a fight, flight, freeze. I tend to fight first, and I distract myself with a million different things. And then I end up in a freeze mode where I can't do anything. And I think a lot of people will resonate with, a couple of those kind of feelings.
Because you're still record scratching.
Yeah. And
aren't you?
I'm actually sitting here like, moving forward, moving back, moving forward.
You talk about the hokey cokey, don't you? Yes. That's what it's when it's like, I'm in, oh no, I'm in. And that's exactly what I think is one of the ways that you're in life.
Yeah. And then, so I think the curiosity was key. When I had come away, I made a decision to come away from the corporate world. It was a few years before Job passed. And I just knew deep down that I had to be more at home more often.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I just had a feeling that I had to be there. And I had in my head 2 years, and I said that, look, just need to be nearer home for 2 years. What we're going to do, I want to work with people. I want to have social impact. So I've done a lot of sort of voluntary philanthropy type activities in the community, but that felt good for me to do that, because it was almost like I was, that part of it fed my soul, and that was almost like that opening up to learning about complementary therapies, a lot of the emotional CPR, a lot of the Reiki and the energy work that I do now. I was seeking all of that knowledge and being open to learning. So it's almost like I opened a portal of, okay, I'm not in that world now and learning and sitting exams or whatever I need to do. I'm actually like, there's a life portal here. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that would help me. Oh, I didn't know that existed. And I started to almost like gather lots and lots of knowledge and awareness and, learn lots of techniques and things. And through that curiosity, I learned to trust myself more. I would say that the pivotal moment. Okay, I was doing that, learn, still kind of in a conscious way,
Mhm.
and an element of imposter syndrome came in. So there was other coaches out there, and it was like, oh, I need a certificate to do that. Oh,
I
I
hear
need a
this a lot.
certificate to do that. Oh, I can't sit with someone and have open conversations because I need a certificate to do that. And I'm like, oh, here we go
Yeah.
again, this expected cycle. And I'm like, actually, it took a lot to just trust myself and my instinct and just sit down and talk to people and help them. Like there and then,
Mhm.
what do you need? How do I help you? Do you need someone to talk to? Do
Mm.
you need some energy work? Do you need just time? Do
Mhm.
you need a friendship? Do you need a connection? Like, how can I find the right
Mhm.
road or path for you to start going down and kind of guide you and hold you along as you help yourself?
Mhm.
Um, but from an awakening perspective, the day that Jock passed away, I used this Reiki energy, and he always had this thing that he's like, I don't like it, I don't like it. He'd had it and he'd been in quite a lot of pain, and he was like, I don't like it. And of course, in that moment, I was like, he doesn't like it, doesn't like it. But then I felt like I wanted to help, and I
Yeah.
hadn't done Reiki on anyone else other than self healing. I'd used it all and embodied it all myself to help me. And then when I did that, I just saw this little boy like running along the beach barefoot, and he hated sand, by the way. So it was all quite so like, like 1 minute it was like lovely, and then but then I had these visions and these words, and they were really deep and meaningful. And that was when I would say that moment of trusting myself and just trusting what I was being shown, and knowing that there was more to life, there's
Oh.
more to the universe, there's more than we know. I
Mm.
literally was standing at a fence looking at a feather, and it was blowing. This was just prior to that, and it was like it was stuck, and it was like trying to move, and I was like, oh, I need to go back. And I went back, and that was like the last 10 minutes or so. And it was that trust in myself that I was being shown things, and trusting
Mm.
the message and the vision. And that all just started to open up. Again, curiosity comes from it as well.
Mm.
And I think that awakening began, and it's not like an overnight awakening. It's
No,
that
it's very
babe,
cyclical
that,
in the way that you described.
yeah.
It's
And I
very,
do
but it doesn't
feel
happen. It's once and it's like, ping, I'm done. It's like, and here's
no.
another layer to unpeel and let go of,
Hmm.
and here's another
Hmm.
emergence of power and clarity and
Yeah.
joy and purpose. And isn't it? It's like shedding, emerging,
Hmm.
shedding, emerging.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
always feel as peaceful as that looked, does
No.
it? There's
No.
often a
It
lot
really is not.
and tears and angst.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
wow, how incredibly, I mean, just so beautiful that to hear you share that. And I think will be such a comfort for so many. And also, I have this process that I talk about called the Wheel of Awakening, where there's these kind of different phases of that cycle that you go through.
Hmm.
And the first part is very much about searching. What is it? What is it? What is it? It's not this. What is it? It's not this. What is it? It's not this. And the next part that comes after that is when things begin to fall apart. And as part of that, things falling apart and life beginning to kind of like dismantle. And sometimes that's of your own volition, and sometimes life does it to you. Redundancy, bereavement, relationship breakdown, illness. What one of the magical things that happens, which is what exactly what you just described, synchronicity. Because as the way I describe it is, as you're kind of cracked open and your heart is more open, because it's very easy to close your heart. That's the default. Close down, numb, like you said, on the beach,
Yeah.
drinking the wine, numb, like shit, how am I going to get through this? But
Hmm.
when you have the courage to really open your heart and let guidance and support come in and let love in, as you express that love, that's when those signs and synchronicities are everywhere. You meet the right people, somebody recommends the right book, then somebody else just happens to, or you see it in a window, that book's got that piece of wisdom that you needed to hear to give
Hmm.
you that moment of salvation or moment of relief or whatever it might be. So, you know, I went through a similar but not the same experience with my dad when he was passing, because as you know, that's part of my journey. And there was just something so deeply holy and sacred about that process that I hadn't anticipated,
Mhm.
that really invited me to see there's so much more to life, that what we understand life to be, there's so much more to death than what we understand it to be.
Mhm.
You know, it's a powerful transition, and also guiding somebody through that. I mean,
Mhm.
who that shapes you to be is just, it's hard to put into words, isn't it? So, you know, you're a
Yeah.
coach, I'm a coach. I'd love to hear how that impacted you and your ability to do your work. Because for me, who I became through that process of helping my dad navigate the very end of his life and caring for him and stuff, I became somebody who was so, like, the ability I've got to create safety and hold space for somebody in the most difficult, darkest of times is
Yeah.
way beyond anything I was capable of before.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just made me, it expanded me beyond anything I could have imagined. I'd love to hear your experience of that too.
Mhm. Yeah, so I could definitely resonate with that. My husband then went on to have a brain tumor, which eventually was why he passed. But when he was diagnosed with that, my dad was also in hospital, and he passed. We had to let him go, because he had frontotemporal dementia, and he then discovered he had lung cancer. So whilst these two male figures in my life were ending their chapter, if you like, it was very difficult to then, like, I'd always had a male figure. Like my
Yeah,
mum and dad split up when I was really young, but
yeah.
it was still, you still had that male figure. And then I always had like a long-term boyfriend, husband, and it was
Mm,
like I always had this energy around me. And to feel that that then suddenly has gone, I can resonate with lots of people that I've spoken to since then and held the space for then, that there is no judgment in there. There's, it's all about love and compassion. It's about everybody is different. Everybody manages emotion differently. Everybody's story is unique. And when you're in that place, one of the things you can do is that freeze response, and you don't want to talk to anyone. I still do it, but I'm more aware that I do it. Like, I shut down and I just want to freeze, and I'm in that fear zone. But when I found people who would hold the space for me to
mm,
allow that to just be, it was
mm,
that was life changing. That
mhm.
people would just sit with you and feel your feelings, but they're not the same feelings, because how would we know how heartbreak feels
Yeah,
or loss feels?
witness.
But we know the word and we know how it feels. So regardless of the
Mm,
word or the language, it's there's an energy exchange. And I think that was like that energy
mm,
exchange. And I think if you can hold that space for that energy exchange in a
mm,
safe and trusted way, which you do in your world with the work that you do, and I feel like that's invaluable, to have that space for people to feel that hope, that sense of hope
yeah,
and joy when they're in that deep dark moment. And I think if you can be vulnerable enough to just share that I
yeah,
wasn't in a good place, I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't, and all these different things that come
yeah,
up, or I'm just completely going a bit crazy, then you can resonate with each of those. You don't know how it feels, but you can resonate with how it
yeah,
feels in that sense of the word, if you like. So I think going through it vulnerably, but with I use the opposite word of vulnerability is courage, because you have the courage to be
mm,
vulnerable, which then opens up that permission, that invitation for other people to just open that in themselves, and that
yeah,
inner wisdom is in there. It's all masked in because it's a protection mode, which, it's natural and it's okay. It's okay to be in
mhm,
that space. But the guidance is to how to move out at your pace
yeah,
and allowing
yeah.
people to move through it at their pace.
Mm. it's just so needed, isn't it, in this world that we find ourselves in? And so often we deny ourselves that holding, we deny ourselves that support. We worry about, what will people think about me leaning in to get support, or what will people think about me spending money on myself in this way? Is that really
Mm,
selfish?
my goodness, yeah.
And I think it's so important that we rewrite that narrative, because hurt people, healed people, heal people by their presence, you know? And yeah, I mean, there's so much we could say about that. And what I'd love to know about this kind of rebirth and rising part was, what surprised you most about it? What surprised you most as you were kind of in that process of claiming who you were going to be in the world and just putting your best foot forward each day? Because the secret's out. That's how you do it, right? Is that, I mean, if we're really going to boil it down, you think you connect with what's feeling really important. What are the desires I've been denying? What's one step I can take today? What's another step I can take tomorrow? I mean, that's the process,
Yeah.
right? Yes, there's more to it. But in a nutshell, that's it, isn't it? Claiming what you really want, claiming your desires, and committing to make it happen.
Hmm.
So, what surprised you through that process?
I would say, so 7 years ago, I would never in a million years have said that I would have, like you say, imagined investing in myself. Personal development is always about, CPD, doing this exam, doing that exam, keeping up your knowledge, all this kind of stuff. I would never ever consider investing time and energy and money on myself. But I think what surprised me most was the result of doing that. Like that,
Mm,
giving myself permission to step in first and allowing that rebirth to happen and trusting
mm,
myself again. It comes back to that, okay, I know there's something more. I know there's something more for me. I don't know how I find it, know it, but I trust that I need to just step in.
yeah.
I think that's the first thing. And most
That's what I would describe
surprisingly,
as answering the call. It's like, I'm going to answer the call. That's
yeah,
that's that moment. I think that's how I would describe it. Yeah.
yeah. And I think most surprisingly is that I've been able to do that, given more than half my life having structure, having analytics, having, all of
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
logical, analytical stuff, but
Uh,
to allow the feminine part of that to just float and flow and not get
mm,
reactive, but be responsive to the circumstances
mm,
and the environment. So I think the most surprising thing is how flexible and how
mm,
trusting of my own intuition I have been.
mm.
Because I would never have imagined that 7 years ago, not at all. And listening to your heart and soul is so, so important.
Yeah.
And it's not just
What's that good?
words, it's like a
Yeah.
feeling. I think that's the
Yeah.
surprising part. It's like it's deep in here. How did
Yeah.
I not
What's
know
that
that
given?
before?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to know, because people must be sitting thinking, well, God, what does that, like, I'd love to know, what are the, for anyone thinking, but how do you hear your intuition? How do you listen to your intuition? We'll do a little thing to address that. We'll talk a little bit to address that. But first, I just want to really I'd love to know, what's that given you? Committing to just get to know who you really are and bring her to the surface. What has that given you?
It's given me freedom. It's given me direction, clarity, like all those words around. You would think it would be the opposite because you don't really know, like that masculine, I need to know the plan and I need to know if I hit that target,
Yeah.
but it's given me more clarity in just knowing that the steps that I'm taking are the right steps for me and
Mm.
that the world will fall in around me because it's already predetermined almost. And I'm just
Yeah.
now not
Aligning with
resisting
that.
the path, I'm aligning with
Yeah.
that path. And it's not waiting for an epiphany to happen. Like it's not it doesn't happen like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite hard to
Yeah, I think
put into
sometimes
words, isn't it?
yeah, I think sometimes people expect that if it's not an epiphany, it's not guidance, right? I think often
Hmm.
people think that they expect some kind of announcement. Da 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 da. It
Yeah.
is this. You should do this. Now, don't get me wrong. There are occasionally moments when you get that level of like,
Wow.
clarity drop. It does
Yeah.
happen. That's not how it happens on the daily, is it?
No.
It's
No.
often you know, the feelings of, so how it might materialize in me is, and I'm kind of 10 years deep on this journey, similar timeline to you, is maybe I've been feeling uncomfortable, like there's been a discomfort in my body somewhere for a number of days, and I don't know what the hell, I don't know why I'm feeling like that. And then I'll go, oh, there must be something I'm not listening to, there must be something I'm not hearing, or like I've not created space
Hmm.
for that intuition to make itself known, to kind of rise. Because I describe knowledge as like outside in, and your intuitive wisdom is inside out. That's one of the ways I describe it. I think it's a really helpful way, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that is
And so
definitely.
often we go look into the external world for the answers.
Hmm.
And it's not always about the strategy and the plan, as you said. Of course, they're valuable and you need them, right? You and I both appreciate that. But if that's what you're leading with, without the guidance around what really is the best move for you, what's the most resonant thing you can do, what's the thing that lights you up the most, what's the thing that you're avoiding, what's the thing that scares you the most, without exploring and interrogating that stuff, you end up getting so far and having to rebuild, getting
Hmm.
so, because you've done the thing you think you're supposed to,
Yeah.
versus what was really calling to you if you'd given yourself permission to really go there. So yeah, I mean, I just think your story is so inspiring. And how do you connect, let's just touch on that actually, how do you connect with that intuitive wisdom and that intuition? What are some of the things that you do, and how do you help your clients with that?
Yeah. So I think first and foremost, it's about creating that space. So, creating, I don't know, like having a coffee in the sunshine, like fresh air is my thing. So just
Yeah.
if I'm in the sunshine and the fresh air, like I hate the enclosed feeling and I need like fresh air. So for me, it's just finding that space that feels really rich for me. Maybe walking in the
Mm,
forest, like I always find I walk in the forest on my own. For
mm,
me, it's like that solitude and
mhm.
just not listening to music or podcasts or whatever when I'm
Yeah.
walking. I just sit or I just walk and I listen and I appreciate. And
Yeah.
then in my own mind, and what I encourage my own clients to do is just release any expectation, just, simply state the intention. Like, what do I need to know today?
Mm,
Like, what do I need to know today? And then
mhm.
just allowing words or visions, just whatever works on the day, and just go, oh, I wonder. And again, the curiosity part, is like
Yeah.
there's a word, and "Oh, what does that mean?" And then
Mm,
then it can, once you sort of go, oh, how does that feel? Oh, I feel quite excited about that, or I feel a sense
yeah.
of relief about that. And then it's like, I wonder. And then I use cards as well. So I do use oracle
Mhm.
cards, and I just use them. And I just, I don't, you don't, that doesn't, it's got to be intuitive. It's got, what colors are there? Is it a confidence color?
Mm.
Is it a creative
How does it
color?
make me feel?
How does it
Mhm.
make me feel? What is it making me think? So sometimes if your
Mm.
brain's a bit too busy, you can't really
Yeah.
find the space when you're walking or peace. And when you've got diggers out the back, you get distracted, which currently happen. I hope you can't hear them. So yeah,
No, we
again,
can't
like
hear
maybe having like crystals that you just hold and
you.
connect like the energy in the palm of your hands. Like even that very simple thing is just like feeling that warmth and the tingling and just, what is that? What is that I can feel? Oh, like even
Mhm.
just going like that, you can feel something, and it's,
Mhm.
and it's just that curiosity, I think.
Love it. And
Yeah,
just,
so
yeah, and you're making me feel like how important it is to just release, release expectation. And, I talk a lot, don't I, about relinquishing your grip, that kind of like, I need to
Oh,
work it out. I need to
yeah.
be the one. And I think that what you've described is a really lovely way of embodying that, which is, I just trust. I trust that
Hmm.
the answer that needs to come to me will come to me if I create the space for
Yeah.
that to rise,
Yeah.
and not like start my day frenetically, maybe reading your phone or listening to the news, or and
Hmm.
then just whoosh,
Yeah. I
the
don't
world
listen to
as
the
it
news. I
is
don't watch the
through.
news. Nothing.
Yeah,
I suppose
I think
that's
that
another
can be a
way
really
of just not letting that
a really
noise in.
helpful thing, right? Yeah. And I think as well, one of the
Hmm.
things that it kind of blows my mind that I've become this, but I've become a writer, and one of the things that really helps me is just writing. And
Hmm.
sometimes I go back and read things, I'm like, oh my God, that's really good. And I'm like, oh my God, I wrote that. Like allowing yourself to express without expectation like
Yeah.
that. Sometimes there can be a lot of powerful insight and kind of wisdom and evidence in
Hmm.
there
Hmm.
as well, definitely. I think as well, there's one thing I want to circle back on, which is when you talked about losing your dad and Jock round about the same time, and then being that when you were talking, something was coming to me about them almost being that holding presence for you, that grounding, that stability, that safety for you. Is that how you had
Hmm.
experienced those relationships in your life?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I wanted to mention that because, and I had a similar experience when I lost my dad. I thought, oh my God, like I don't have that person now who, no matter what, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got a brilliant partner, I've got a wonderful son, but I don't have that person now that no matter what, I know he's got my back. Yes, my partner has, but it's different. I think people will
Yeah.
understand that. And
Hmm.
so I remember just feeling like, and it was almost like this invitation to find my power. Well, it is only really you now. And that's not to say that I'm not in a very equal partnership, but so often we look to others to give us what we've got the power to give ourselves all along. And I wonder, how have you experienced that with losing those kind of grounding, safe, solidifying,
Yeah.
holding forces in your life? Oh, they almost feel like your pillars, like your
Yeah.
pillars of, don't worry, we've got yet stability.
Hmm.
How has that contributed towards who you've become in your evolution, not, having that taken away in such a difficult way?
Again, takes time, but it was that, okay, I'm on, like, who am I? Like, who am I? I knew who I was as a wife, as a daughter, as a
Yes.
mother, but I didn't actually know who I was. And it took
Yeah.
a
Without
while
those labels, right?
without those labels. I've never ever, I think I
Yes.
said that before, like, I've never ever been truly on my own. I've always had a
Yeah.
partner, always had a presence, always had that stability and safety feeling from that
Yeah.
relationship. And then it's sort of whipped away,
Yeah.
and doing a lot of journaling, and like I say, that being curious about, okay, who am I? What do I love? What do I feel responsible for? What am I
Mhm.
afraid of? What do I enjoy? What do I not enjoy? And that recalibration of your life, and then all these other things started to come in. I suppose that's the awakening thing. It's like, because you opened up that, so who am I then? If I'm
Yeah.
not part of that partnership, like, then who am I? I'm still mum.
Yeah.
I'm still was a wife, but who am I going to be now? Like, who am I now? Um,
Mm.
and I think allowing that space to tap into that, lots of writing, free writing. Who am I? What am I holding? What's expected of me? Like, and just going through that piece by piece, but allowing, like, integration time.
Thank you. And I'd love you
Yeah.
to tell us, what have you created? Who are you now? Like, tell us, we've got so much of what's led you to this moment, right? So, who have you become?
So
Who
I
are you now?
think I am a wildly awakened woman, for sure. And that has been, our paths have crossed, what, 18 months ago or so. And I think never being alone is one of the things, knowing that you're not alone and that there's always a solution out there. It's just being
Mm.
open to find, first of all, find what brings you true feelings of joy. which I am very grateful to have found lots of ways that have brought me joy. It's about community, it's about people, it's about impact. Um, and you have to do more of what lights you up. And if you feel you're in something and you're like, this is not, oh, I don't want to do that, like, well, change it. You're only one decision away from doing it a different way, or, and if you don't do more of what lights you up and brings you joy, then what's the point?
Yeah.
What is the point? And trusting decisions, making decisions for me, that's who I am now. Like, I don't understand them all the time. We were on your little retreat, and again, it's like it's never too
Yeah.
late. So it's like, here's 6 months ago, thinking, right, what, I've got more love to give to the world. How am I going to do it? And you're like, stop trying to work out how it's going to happen, but just feel into how does it feel when you are serving
Mm,
your clients, serving your communities, serving the global world. Like, it doesn't matter where and how and who. And I feel like that person now is open and is visible in the world. Whereas
yeah.
before she was hidden.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and the more I open that up, that leading with love and from the heart and all this, because that brings me joy when I help people in that way. Like, I feel the more you do that, the more it magnetizes in the
Yeah.
right people,
Absolutely.
the right
Absolutely.
experiences.
Mhm.
Traveling is a big thing for me, and I always wanted that travel, and it's been bubbling away as seeds. And then all of a sudden, like, suddenly I'm going to go on retreat with you, and then I'm going to go on a solo
Yeah.
adventure to Thailand, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
it just gets me excited. So that feeling, that is me. Like, that we get all inside. It's just like, that's me. That's who I am now. I'm here to
Love
spread the love. I'm here to share and help and hold people and guide them.
Yeah.
And that makes me truly happy.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And it was on my mind as well to share like some things can take time, and it's tiny little baby steps every day, and it's following your intuition and your instinct and your bliss and your joy, and doing the work when you feel yourself stuck or scared, or the inner critic is loud, or the fears
Yeah,
or the doubt or whatever. Like, that's all part of the journey too, which is where the
yeah,
work and the support comes in, isn't it? But yeah, you mentioned like when we were on retreat in March, that was a moment where you had one of those moments of, oh, I want to do more of this. And you had that idea, didn't you,
mhm,
about running your day retreats.
yeah,
And you also, when I announced the Sri Lanka retreat, you were like, I know I need to be there. 100%. You just knew I needed to be there. And
yeah,
so, but at the same time, you had this day retreat idea, put it into action immediately, sold out your first, I can't remember how many,
yeah,
and we're like, yeah, I can pay for the Sri Lanka retreat within a
yeah.
couple of weeks.
It was.
And I want people to hear that that's how quickly things can happen, as well as if you're 7 years into this journey of
Mhm,
evolution.
mhm.
But actually, when things are aligned, it's like bang, bang, bang. Things can happen really fast. I think
Yeah,
it's important, isn't it,
yeah,
to be able to
definitely.
show that contrast, and to me as well, like, that's part of that. It's kind of like you said earlier, like, I know I'm meant to be there, therefore I'm going to take action in alignment with that knowing and
Mhm,
that feeling, therefore it just
mhm,
happened, it just happened very fast. It's the same as I had this thing, I was like, I want to go to Sri Lanka, went there on holiday, had a sense it was going to be important. As soon as I got there, I was like, this is a place for me it holds more. By the time, a couple of weeks later, I had planned the first retreat, found a place to run it. And like within another couple of weeks, a couple of people were signed up, and it was just like, and that's happening in October.
yeah,
And don't get me wrong, it doesn't always feel as easy as that, right?
mhm,
Does it? But it can really feel as easy
yeah,
as that when you're in a place of connection and
yeah,
alignment. And I think that's really important, because that is the prize. You
mhm,
are the prize. You being that woman who is willing to vote for yourself,
yeah,
give yourself what it is you want, give yourself experiences that light you up.
mhm, mhm,
That's what you deserve. And that's actually what
yeah,
the world wants of you, because when you're lit
mhm,
up, you light everybody else up.
yeah. And that example in the March one was the creation of that, evolving of that soul chapter,
Yes,
soul cycle for
that
me.
catalyst.
Again, it's
Yes.
not going back to your sort of theme, it's not too late, and there is always like this
No.
next level to
What
come.
next? What next? Wow, there's
Yeah,
more. Wow, there's
yeah, I
more.
know.
Wow,
And then
there's
yes, totally. And then
yeah,
coming on the second one, so coming on the summer retreat, remember I got this big red door, and I was like, it just means stop, and you're like, no, 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 it's all about grounding. I'm like, no, it says stop. And I've since made some decisions that are huge in
yeah.
terms of creating that more space to rise again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just an exciting cycle of just
Yeah,
listening and going, okay, I don't really know how, but I trust. I
yeah.
implicitly trust.
Love it. Love it. So, for the woman listening who feels it's too late for her, what's your piece of advice?
Just pause. That power of the pause is like invaluable, and just feel into how you feel today, where you are, what you're doing. Does it feel like a bit sticky, I would say? And if it does, then how can you get rid of that? And what decisions can you make that make you feel lighter, freer, more
Mm.
expansive? We are all
Mm.
limitless. You guide us in that
Yeah,
very, very well. We are all limitless.
yeah,
It's already there. It's just waiting for you to own it and claim it.
yeah,
And you're never going to have to do it on your own. Never ever have to do it
yeah.
on your own. So yeah, the
Amazing.
guidance is just taking action from a place where you feel love, joy, hope,
Mm.
happiness. And when you're there, it doesn't matter what the answer is, yes or no, it will be the right decision that you take.
Yeah, love that. Amazing. Love that. Ah, and is there a practical step that you would give anyone listening to follow on from that?
Practical step is take a chance on yourself. Stepping into something.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about, just allowing yourself permission to step into something and just saying yes because it feels
Mm-hmm.
right. You don't know how, why. Don't question it.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it. And then you'll soon find out why, and that portal opening that opportunity will make you feel different. So that's the
Mm.
practical step, is just say yes, just do it, follow up on that feeling before someone else or something in your mind tells you, oh, don't do that because don't do that.
Shut it back down again. Yeah,
Like
absolutely. That
don't
sounds
allow
really
that in.
mental.
Go in that
Yeah,
first instinct. That
love
yes,
that.
go in that first instinct.
Love that. I love that. Amazing.
Oh,
Alvina, I mean, what a rich conversation. I know it's
thank
going to
you.
value, like, just add value to so many women,
I hope so.
particularly those of us who have navigated grief or perhaps are going through a similar process to that right now. You've given us such a beautiful example of what's possible when you listen to that part of you that has the answers and you follow that call, you answer that call of your soul to show just what's possible. How can people find you? I'm going to put your details underneath in the show notes.
Mhm.
How do people find you? What are your offerings right now? I'd love to just give you an opportunity to share that.
No, thank you. So I do have a website, so it's alvinamingus.com, spelled
Great.
Menzies, Menzies. Having a first and a second name I've got to spell isn't always easiest. So I do have a website, and you can Google me and find that really easily.
Great.
LinkedIn, hang out on LinkedIn, Instagram. And in terms of offerings, I am really leaning into a 6-month program, which I can just hold that transformational space, use my entire toolkit of business mentoring, healing, coaching. I even invested in sound bowls recently, so I'm adding all this depth to the program, and I work with like the conscious, the energy, and then the subconscious if necessary. But I truly believe
Beautiful.
you can work with those two. So 3 month and 6 month support, because it doesn't happen overnight.
Love it. It certainly
Just
doesn't. It
hold the
certainly doesn't.
space.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being
Thank you
with
so
us.
much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for the
Alvina.
invitation.
Oh, you're welcome. So, for those of you watching and listening today, I hope that you feel activated and that you know it's never too late to rise again. And if Alvina and I have sparked anything within you where you feel you'd love to lean in and reach out and get any support with either of us, then please do reach out. I'm also going to put some links underneath of some resources that will support you, an activation, a chance to gather once a month at a free event that I host. And yeah, here's to your rising as the wildly awakened woman that you came here to be. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.